Hi, how are you today?
Hey, good. Hey, how are you, Morgan?
Good. My name is Morgan Heath-Powers.
Yeah.
I'm Human Resources Director here at Alton Management. May I take a seat?
Yes, please. Sit down.
Thank you. All right, so first of all, thank you for having me in today. Congratulations on your plans for retirement. I'm really excited to be a part of this process, and I can't wait to present to you my ideas. So I'll jump right in. I'm going to discuss a few things today. First, I'm going to discuss the nature of project management in general, from the human resources perspective, some key elements that we want to keep in mind when we're going forth with this plan.
Okay.
Next, I'm going to talk about unique planning techniques within the hiring process, some things that we have to be aware of and make sure that we hit as we're going through this scenario.
Good. Okay.
I'm also going to talk about the project plan that I developed and how I think it can be beneficial to Alton Marketing and beneficial to your smooth exit from the company. I'm also going to identify some key necessary resources that we'll need for this plan, and I'd love to have your input on those as well.
Great.
And then finally, I'll discuss the employee development program that I think could be really helpful, bringing in the new CEO. So,
Okay, that's exciting.
all right, so in terms of project development, there are three main things that I think are really important to hit with any project. First, identifying the objective. In this situation, we want to make sure that we are finding a key successor that really has the skills to fill your position once you take your leave. Second, mapping those intermediary steps, and that's what I'm here for, to make sure that the process goes smoothly. And then third, executing, making sure that things go smoothly, that we have a backup plan, that we're able to handle any new jumps out in the situation that may occur. Second, I'll be talking about specific planning techniques to the hiring process. So there are a few main things that I want to talk about. First, when going through the hiring process, it's really important that we identify the key qualities that we want to see in that new CEO. And as I understand, there are a few things that you already have in mind. You want to make sure that they have good networking skills, they have clear understanding and knowledge of the U.S. market and economy, that they understand the implications of corporate responsibility. That means understanding public image and understanding how to maintain a budget. All those are different skills that really need to be seen in your successor. And most importantly, I think it's important that we find something that really has a clear passion for Alton Marketing. You want to make sure that they have the experience, yes, and they have the skills, yes, but also that they really have a passion and a care for this company.
Okay.
So next, I'd like to talk about the outreach. In the hiring process, we really want to make sure that employees are being aware of what's going on once we make your final decision. So in terms of reaching out to determine what kind of candidates we're going to be dealing with, I think that it'd be most efficient to send out a BCC email to all the qualifying candidates. In terms of qualifying candidates, I recommend that we look for people that have a minimum of 5 years experience here at Alton Marketing.
Okay.
You've had 35 years here at this company, and you had 15 years prior to becoming CEO. So I think that it's really important that we follow up in your succession plan by looking for somebody that has seniority here at Alton Marketing. So next, I'd like to talk about narrowing down the search. We made the outreach, we sent out the email, and now we're starting to get replies. I think that it's important that we provide these candidates with a clear application that asks specific questions to see why do they think that they would be a good candidate.
Okay.
And also, I think that we should have an interview process. Having a panel interview, I think, would be very helpful so that we have multiple forms of opinion from different executives here at the company.
Who do you think should be made up of the board, the panel?
Right. I think that some of your advisors would be very helpful. I would like to be on the panel. I think being in human resources, I have the experience to know what to look for in the kind of candidate, taking into account the wishes that you have. I think it's especially important that you're there so that you feel comfortable with the choice as well. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
All right. Next, time to make the decision. So making that decision, determining which candidate is the best fit, announcing it to them, making sure that they've made their final decision as well, that they accept our offer for the position, and then finally announcing that to the rest of the staff here at Alton Marketing. I think it's important that that is perhaps a more personal contact, whether it's in person or through a conference call, making sure that we're here to answer any questions they may have about that new CEO. And then also making sure that we have a clear training plan for that new successor, making sure that they have the kind of skills and the support that they need in order to integrate into the position immediately and very quickly, very smoothly, so that it goes well. So with all these things in mind, these are specific planning techniques to the hiring process. I'd like to talk and review that project plan. So there were 5 main components. First, identifying those key qualities that we want to see in the new CEO, making that outreach effort to the qualifying candidates with a minimum of 5 years experience here at Alton Marketing, narrowing that search down once we receive their interest in the position, and perhaps you have some employees that you already have in mind, whether they have that 5-year experience or not, that you would like to make a direct contact with, and that's absolutely something that we can consider. Going through the interview process and the application process, and then finally deciding and training that employee.
Okay.
So next I'd like to discuss some resources that will be needed throughout this process should we go forward with that specific plan. First, we'll need to draft that notification email. I think it's important that it's clear that it specifies the skills that we're looking for, that passion for the company and experience with Alton management, with Alton marketing is really, really important. And hopefully that will pull people in and get them interested in the position. I think that we should also have prepared questions for the application and for the interview. That does not mean that during the interview we cannot stray from those questions and ask more. And that's completely up to you. But I think it's important that we discuss those questions in advance. I think it'll be a really good exercise for everybody on the panel so that they know what they're looking for. And also I think preparing that training program, making sure that we have a training program implemented and ready to go once we make our final decision. Which brings me to my next point, that employee development plan. I think that'd be really, really fantastic if we had your involvement in that. Whether it was just, a mentoring program where that new CEO could reach out and contact you via email, via phone call, or in person. I think that'd be really helpful so that they could ask questions, get some feedback. You have a lot of experience with the company, and I think it'd be great to have your involvement. However, there are also other avenues that we can pursue. Within my Human Resources Development department, we could also just develop a training plan alongside you as we're going through this hiring process and recruiting. And then that way, once we make our final decision, you can take your smooth leave from the company, and then we can take over answering any questions that they might have. Perhaps I could act as a middleman between you and the new CEO and answer any questions that they may have, and that would relieve you of some pressure to be super involved. So that's something that we can discuss as well. But I'd like to review everything that we've talked about today before I answer your questions. So we discussed.
So just quick question. So again, you feel strongly that that I should participate in the ongoing training development program.
I do. To whatever extent you see fit. This is your retirement. I don't want you to feel any obligation to the company after you take your leave. But I think that it would be helpful to have your input, and perhaps it would give you some peace of mind to be within close contact to that new successor.
Okay, yeah, I feel strongly about that as well.
Good.
God, it's 2 years is going to be here before you know it. So I figured, I better, start, doing this. So I appreciate, the input you're giving me. But do you think that's enough time?
I do think it's enough time, and I'm so glad that you started thinking about this early. With other companies that I've worked for, we've had to deal with situations where maybe we only had a few months before they decide to leave. It's challenging, it's stressful on the other employees, so I think that 2 years is going to be enough time, and I'm glad that I was able to map out this plan for you today. This is something that we can go back and discuss with the rest of the HR department to expand upon, go into more detail, change some things, obviously with your input.
And, I know why it's, kind of beneficial to look internally to find a CEO, but, there's also, I may look outside the company.
Absolutely.
Do you feel that's, something that's important, or do you think why is it important to look internally?
I think the reason why I recommend to look internally is because I think that there would be a stark contrast between a CEO like yourself with 35 years of experience here at Alton Marketing to then switch to somebody that is completely foreign to the company. However, there are a lot of skills that go into becoming a CEO. So, if you found interest in another candidate that wasn't part of the company yet, that you feel was a really strong, that they had the kind of skills that would be necessary, that's definitely something that we could look into. We could go through the interview process and really see if they have it. But again, I think that Alton Marketing is already such a tight-knit company with only 100 employees. I think it's beneficial for the rest of the team if we bring somebody that's already here at Alton Marketing.
Well, great. Would you be able to break down the time frames of each kind of
Right. I'm glad
in
you
the next
asked.
2 years?
I'm glad you asked. I think that in terms of the short term, I think that we should be looking at nailing down this plan with the Human Resources Department within the next 2 months. And that's just deciding like, okay, what kind of key qualities are we looking for? How are we going to make that outreach, etc. The training plan, that's going to be a lot different. That's going to take some more time. I think we should give that about, 3 to 4 months to decide, if we are going to, formulate some materials that new CEO can look at.
3 to 4 months from now?
I think
or 3 to 4 months beyond the 2 months?
3 to 4 months beyond the 2 months. Thank you for asking. I think that some other opportunities that we could pursue would be to create some different materials that person could study. Maybe with some tips and tricks from you, some information that they should be knowledgeable of. Perhaps creating videos with you in it to describe like this is what we do as a CEO in this situation to make sure that they really feel supported. If we're just going to go with the mentoring program, that may not take much time. Because you already have the experience, you already have the expertise. That would just be a matter of making sure that you are in contact with them.
Okay.
So after that 2 months of solidifying the plan, and then after that 3 to 4 months of solidifying the training program, that's when we can start recruiting. I think that we should give ourselves, a solid 6 months to conduct that recruiting. And make sure that we're really taking the time that we need. If several interviews need to take place, if it comes down to 2 or 3 candidates and we need to do a couple more interviews, I think that's perfectly fit. And then moving forward, it would probably take a good amount of time to train that employee. So
obviously that's within the 2 years before it goes to that employee.
Right. So after that 6 months of recruiting, that will be a total of about 1 year, about 11 to 12 months.
Okay.
So that will give us a year to train that employee. I think that is more than enough time.
Very good.
For sure.
CEO. Okay,
exactly.
Got it.
So.
Got it. Okay. I like it.
Good.
Any further thoughts on maybe looking outside the company?
I think that comes down to your decision. And I think it'd be fit to ask for the opinion of other people in the Human Resources Department, their employees here at the company as well. We could see, how would they feel if they had a CEO coming in from outside of the company. It can surely be a beneficial thing to have somebody fresh, somebody
new blood,
new.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So I don't think it could do any harm to incorporate them into the recruiting process. I think that could also be beneficial.
Yeah, our corporate culture is very, very tight knit in a small company like mine, but it's large enough where if we did bring someone from the outside, I wonder what the ripple effect would be. It would have to probably be the right person, and that's why I'm leaning also towards an internal candidate to take over the company. And do you have any people in mind as of right now?
There are some people within the Human Resources Department, some colleagues of mine that I think are very strong candidates. They have that long-term employment here at Alton Marketing. One of them has been here for 8 years. They're just people that they really illustrate great drive. They have the skills that you list. But also people within our finance department. I think that they really have the skills, especially when it comes to having an understanding of the economy and the effects of the U.S. market on our specific company here at Alton Marketing. I think those are all individuals that we can pursue, and that's something I'd like to discuss.
So you're thinking more of a finance person might be a good fit for the CEO?
I think that that's a very important thing to be aware of. Like I said, having that CEO, having the understanding of corporate responsibility, understanding how to maintain a budget, how to communicate with others, how to network. I think that those are all important skills to have. So again, within the finance department, I think that we would have some good options. But we have fantastic employees across all departments here on marketing. And I'm sure that perhaps you have some people in mind as well.
Very good. Thank you very much, Morgan. I look forward to going forward on this, and look forward to your time frame, and I'm very optimistic. Thank you.
Thank you. I will leave my notes with you, and you know how to contact me, so I look forward to hearing from you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You bet. Thanks a lot. That was good.
I think I messed up the company name a couple times.
Well, so you can work on that, but